when talking instant forgiveness, the first thing you got to realize is that instant forgiveness is possible. And I'm going to show you how. So what really happens when you're unforgiving is that you have a resistance. You have this hardness in your heart. It's a hardness in your chest. It could be a clenching of your teeth. It could be an overfocus. In any case, it's a hardness of attention. And that hardness of attention can be released at any time, and that equals instant forgiveness. Now, the amazing thing is that most people think that through this hardness, through this unforgiveness, they get tough, they get strong. You think that's what's going to make him powerful and able to deal with all the difficulties in life. But that's not the case. The opposite is true. The only thing that this hardness of attention causes, this unforgiveness causes, is muscle tension in the body, and with that, health issues, psychological issues, and even illnesses, such as all the way up to cancer. So somebody who holds this hardness, this resentment toward people for a very long period of time, and most of us are very adept at that, holding that feeling, holding that coldness, they eventually turn up with cancer and all kinds of stuff, okay? So we're going to practice this right now. I'd like you to pick any object in your surroundings, and I'm going to pick this white chair here. And now, just for fun, I'd like you to project a hardness or a resistance or a hatred toward that object, okay? So really, if necessary, clench your fists and your teeth and really try to hate that object as if you're totally unforgiving of it. And see what that does to your body feeling and to your mind state and to everything. Now you might find this exercise silly, but that's precisely what we do day in, day out with the different people in our lives and with different places and with different events. We have this subtle and subconscious resistance toward things almost 24/7, okay? And with most of you, it's actually subconscious. It's happening at a level below your awareness. That's why I'm asking you to generate it consciously now. Generate that hatred and resistance directed at one object. And then once you get tired of it, release it. Soften your attention. Release the resistance toward that object. And that could involve unclenching your fists, unclenching your jaws, and looking at it more softly, which is more forgivingly, with more understanding. That object didn't do anything to you. It can't. Just like no person did anything to you. They can't, unless you allow it. And see if you can view that object with some amount of appreciation now. You know, it's a pretty object. It's pretty and nice and cute. And that's how easy and simple, theoretically, the practice of instant forgiveness is. Now that's pretty easy with an object, huh? Forgiving an object, it's just an object. Let's try the same thing with an actual human being that you have difficulty forgiving. So I'd like you to focus on that other human being right now. You can close your eyes to do so. And you pick somebody you have a problem forgiving. And notice which hardness, which resistance, which resentment is already there in your chest, which is your heart chakra, or in the forehead, or in the stomach. You're going to feel a hardness, a resistance. That's the hardness and resistance that takes away your ability to feel and to soften up. And once you relax that, I'm not asking you to do it yet, but once you relax that, your eyes might well up with tears. You'll feel a relief in your body, and your health is going to get better. Your energy is going to get better. Okay, but before we do that, I'd like you to see what's there regarding this person. And all that requires, it's no rocket science. All you need is to close your eyes and look and feel. Now, if your unforgiveness of that person is strong, it's because you believe that forgiveness means approving of what they did. But approval of what they do and forgiveness is not the same thing. Forgiveness means letting go within yourself, even though you might not approve of what they did. So if you're going to forgive them, it doesn't mean you condone that or you approve of that. That's the first point. And the second point is, you have to know that every human is fallible, makes mistakes. That's the general context and attitude from which to practice forgiveness. So right now, could you view that person as being fallible, not being perfect? And doesn't that already soften your heart? And just like you did with the object, could you now let go, soften your attention? Could you just take a breath and view them with more understanding, realizing that they too have been through tough times, and that's why they treated you badly. They're just trying their best. They don't know what's best often. Just like you have good times and bad times, good sides and bad sides. And if you want, allow your eyes to well up with tears, which is often in the company of letting go. It's when your eyes get a little bit watery. Now, if you were unable to do that, unable to forgive, we'll try something else. We'll try the reverse. Try to project a real hard, even harder, hatred and resistance toward them. Okay, so really put an effort into hating them, despising and resenting them. So if you're unable to forgive, then exaggerate the opposite. Try that right now. All those fantasies you have about hitting them and beating them and humiliating them. It's not a healthy emotion, no doubt, but it's inside you, so bring it out without resistance. And you notice that requires a lot of focus and energy, so can you let go of that right now? Can you let go of that hatred? Let's see how that feels, to just relax that. Can you see that it's actually hurting yourself and not them? through that hatred, you're not hurting anybody other than yourself. Can you feel that right now? That's what I'd like to demonstrate to you. You're not hurting them. Giving them all that attention and hate, you're not hurting them. You're hurting yourself. Who do you think you're kidding? All right, so you can go through this process over and over and over again in your own way. I'm just giving you the raw basics here, the fundamental basics of forgiveness, which is releasing hard attention. And actually, this applies not only to people, it also applies to places, events in your past, different thoughts you have. You're unforgiving toward yourself especially. And this kind of release or softening can be applied 24/7. Okay, you could be stuck in a traffic jam and just noticing how hard you are on yourself and on the traffic jam and on the other drivers, and release that hardness and become soft inside. And that's not going to make you weaker. That's not going to make you lose your grit and your toughness. On the contrary, it's going to make you invincible and very strong, because you're no longer pushing and resisting against life as it is. Another way to explain this or help you feel this is, why don't you grip your hands real tight now, just really, really tight, real hard grip, and then release. Notice the energy wasted in your tight grip and how it exhausts you and how you feel when you release. The same applies to how much you strain your eyes and release them, how much you strain your attention and release it, how strongly you repeat certain thoughts or release them. It's the same principle. And in theory, it's very, very simple. It's actually also very easy, but we're habitually used to juicing ourselves with this hardness. It does give us a certain type of juice, I call it. Negative emotion is juice, and we thrive on that juice. So we tend to listen to negative news every day, and we get juiced by that, juiced by others' disasters. We love watching other people suffer and be victims and be in all kinds of disasters, because it makes our own frustration and emptiness seem lesser. But as you grow in consciousness, you no longer need to hold on to negative emotions and get juiced by that, because you don't feel empty and you don't feel frustrated. Okay? You got enough sleep, you got healthy food, you're surrounded by people that love you and that you love, you're in nice locations, and no longer thrive on negativity. So if you notice yourself in your life thriving on negativity, on bad news, and on indignation and bad will, you'll want to let go of all of that so that you can feel again. Even when your eyes well up with a little bit of water, I'm not talking about crying, just a little bit of water in the eyes, a few tears, that's a beautiful release, and in that moment, you're actually returning to feeling. And when you return to feeling, you are returning to spirit. As we age and have more and more resistance build up, we lose the ability to feel life, to feel what life feels like. And we're in our heads all the time. Being in your head too much means being too much in resistance, and your voice gets all tense, and you're no longer with yourself, no longer with what you feel, and that's what you want to get back to. That's what we all want. We want to get back to that exuberance and that feeling of life we had as children. And that's why instant forgiveness is good for you every single day. Okay, you notice that resistance, you can let go of it. That resistance toward the place, toward the people, toward the event. Life is beautiful, my friend, if you allow it to be.